Hello faithful viewers and welcome back to another review. This time we are taking a look at the Star Wars Black Series Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano. Now this is Ahsoka as she appeared in Season 7 of the Clone Wars during the Siege of Mandalore arc, and this straight off the gate is a wonderful figure. This is the second version of Ahsoka from the Black Series line. The first version to come out was her Rebels iteration, but this is the Clone Wars version as we have previously mentioned. So, having a look at her head sculpt, it is very faithful to her animated design from the Clone Wars. We can see the nice painting and sculpting all along the face. Her Liku and Montrals are fully decorated in the blue and white coloration that she displays as a Togruta, so that's really nice. A nice smirking impression on her face gives her a lot of character. Continuing down, we can see that she is wearing her blue attire from the Mandalore arc, so you can expect some Mandalorian decals all along her torso there. And panning down to the bottom, her skirt piece is kind of reminiscent of her Rebels attire. You can see this kind of like this samurai aesthetic going on here, plated kind of look that it is. The Mandalorian armor deco continues to the back of the skirt. Unlike her previous costume in the Clone Wars, her back does not feature any cutout on it, so it is all filled in. She does offer some kind of cloth wrinkling. This carries on down to her leggings, and then plain blue boots to finish off the overall aesthetic. Now, this version of Ahsoka does come with two blue lightsabers. If you know the character, then throughout the Clone Wars she has green ones, but in the final episodes, Anakin decides to change her sabers to blue blades, probably to more mirror his own. So, if we remove them from her hand, she holds them decently well enough. We can have a look and see that she has a standard blue lightsaber and then a smaller blue Shoto lightsaber, which she has in her offhand. And they are quite nicely detailed. They obviously are lacking a few bits of paint here and there just because of how small they are, but they're pretty good. They are sculpted nice and accurately to how they appear in the cartoon. The blue blades are translucent and they are removable. Fortunately, they plug in and out really smoothly, so it's not too much of a hassle trying to get them back into the hilts. And we can see here quite a nice detail. There is a strip going through the middle. It's meant to be black, but you know, like I say, some sacrifices are made for the sake of the scale, and they can be held on her belt. You can see, if I refocus the camera, there are two little pinprick holes on either side of the skirt piece. So what you're meant to do is tab the big bits on the lightsaber pommels, and it's quite difficult because I don't think the holes are big enough on my figure, but you should be able to push them in just so they rest like that. Let's just quickly take the blade out of the Shoto. It's recommended that you put the main blade on her right hip and her Shoto on her left. This is contrary to how she usually wore them throughout the show. It was usually the other way around, with the main blade on her left and the Shoto on her right. But specifically in Siege of Mandalore, she did wear it this way, and just for the sake of compatibility, put them this way on the figure. You may find that they go on a lot better and more securely this way than trying to switch them round. I don't think it's specific to my figure. Like I said, the holes on the skirt piece maybe just aren't big enough really. So it was a little bit of a faff trying to get them in. But either way, put them in this way and you shouldn't have any problems whatsoever. Couple of little negatives to also point out about this figure. She does, for one, have a little bit of trouble standing, but I think this is indicative of most Black Series figures. I don't know what quite to do in terms of weight distribution sometimes. Sometimes a specific pose just isn't compatible with the figure, but yeah, I've cut around it, but a few times I've had a little bit of difficulty standing her up. I mean, her feet are relatively small proportion wise compared to everything else that's going on, so yeah, there's a little bit of trouble every now and again trying to pose her. Another nitpick is her ability to hold her lightsabers, actually. I don't know how clear it is, but if we look at the left hand specifically, we can see that it is moulded in a way to accommodate her reverse grip more than a standard grip. Her hold of the blades also is quite loose. You have to get them at a bit of a snug angle in order to make them stick in. Otherwise, they're quite loose and liable to fall out. This one especially, as you can see, just by shaking that one, somehow this one has come out. Now, as I said, it appears to be molded to accommodate a reverse grip. Getting the blades in and out is relatively easy, but it is a little bit tricky, as with most lightsaber wielding figures, to maneuver the hand grips into the hands, because you've got to accommodate the molding of all of the dials and whatnot on each handle. But as you can see there, that is a lot better. It's more snug, more secure. Overall, it's not too much to be concerned about. Another little thing that I'm coming up with right now, just looking at this, you can see that the blade isn't quite straight. I think it depends on how you put it in. Like, I've just twisted the blade slightly there, and now it is more straight. Twist it that way and it's kind of gone wonky. In terms of articulation, Ahsoka is quite a poseable figure. Her head can turn right about that far and then left about that far before the liku start jamming into her upper torso and prohibiting her movement. She can look up not particularly very far because of her back liku slapping against her shoulder blades, but she can look down again not very far, so the head movement is a little bit limited, but it is on the ball joint, so it does have a decent amount of rotation if these head tails weren't there. In terms of the arms at the shoulders, a full 360 degrees of rotation there, can move out quite far, that's really good. A nice little spin there as well. At the elbows, they're on the ball joint, so you've got a good 360 degrees of rotation there. She has, in terms of an elbow bend, an over 90 degree bend, fantastic. Same goes to the wrists, you've got a nice swivel all the way around there. On this hand, or this wrist rather, there is an up and down. I am hesitant to do it though because it is plugged in with a very small peg, so the more you do it, the more you run the risk of breaking it off. On the opposite hand, instead of an up and down, she has an inward and outward turn. So yeah, you've got options for good lightsaber poses. There is a quite a nice ab crunch, as you can see there, and she can also do the limbo quite nicely too. In terms of waist, there isn't anything, but you kind of make up for it with this ab, so she can do an exorcist twist all the way around there. In terms of a forward kick, pretty good. In terms of a back kick, pretty good. In terms of the splits, only about that far, and that's because the skirt pieces, again, with whatever material they are, be it soft rubber or soft plastic, is getting in the way, so limited. Bit disappointing that. In terms of the knee, there is a double bend at the knee, so she can go over 90 degrees of bend there, pretty good. There is the upper leg rotation, a little bit stiff, but you can, in theory, do full 360 degrees there. And then in terms of an ankle, there is up and down movement there. There is a bit of pivot as well, so in theory you can do some pretty good poses. Overall, articulation is pretty good. The head is a little bit disappointing, but just due to the nature of the character model, it's to be expected. So yeah, good articulation. For a size comparison, here is Ahsoka next to fellow Black Series figure. This is Sabine Wren, representing the Star Wars Rebels cartoon. So you can see how well they scale together. You'll be able to catch both of these characters in the upcoming Ahsoka show on Disney+. Not sponsored, but I wish I was. Here is Ahsoka next to Transformers Prime First Edition Deluxe Class RC, so you can get a sense of scale in terms of a Star Wars figure up against a Transformer. So yeah, Black Series, roughly Deluxe Class size. And in terms of a Marvel Legends comparison, here is Ahsoka up against Spider-Man Far From Home, Mysterio. Just for fun, here she is against a couple of other Ahsokas that I have lying about. I can't remember exactly what line these two were from, but they were from early Clone Wars, so we're talking 2008, 2009-ish. We have a representation here on the left of Ahsoka's debut look back in 2008, the more revealing costume, and then on the right here we have her spacesuit look from the episode Cargo of Doom, which was the second episode episode of the second season of the Clone Wars. It's not particularly cartoon accurate because there was more of a maroon look in the episode. This must have been early concept art, this light purple version. But yeah, they are tiddly compared to your Black Series figure here, and way more limited in terms of articulation. So this one in the middle is definitely a must get. These two, if you want every single figure that's out there, then by all means knock yourself out, but they're not particularly brilliant. So there we go then, that is the Black Series Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano. I think it is a really good figure. Paint wise, you know, really cool. Her orange skin coupled with the blue and the black pants. It's a formidable look, and I think it is probably the most popular look for her amongst the fandom. Really suits her. In terms of the overall articulation, you know, it's standard Black Series at this point, but it is fantastic for the scale figure that she is. A little bit of a shame, as I said, about what head movement she's capable of, but given that she is a dog rooter and she has the Liku head tails, it's kind of to be expected. I don't think making them out of a more malleable, softer material would have benefited her in any way, so for what she's got, pretty good. She scales nicely with other types of figures, so yeah, overall this is a superb figure. As with all of the Black Series figures that I have reviewed on the channel so far, I would highly recommend this one, especially. Of all of the Ahsoka figures that have come out so far, being this one, the Rebels version and the Mandalorian version, this one probably is the best, but I've not actually seen the other two in person to be able to make an accurate judgment. If you want a really cool looking cartoon accurate version of her, definitely get this one. The Rebels one, I think, tries to go for a little bit of photorealism, but of course at that time all we had was an animation model for her. Rosario Dawson had not yet been cast as a live action version of her. However, if you want a accurate live action version, then by all means the Mandalorian figure is the go-to one to get. But overall, this is a spectacular figure. Certainly get her if you can. If you want a proper Ahsoka in your collection, then by all means go for it. So all that's left to do is thank you one and all for stopping by and checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.